Welcome back, dear students and seekers of wisdom. This is your Professor Joe again. Today, we explore one of the most practical and at times controversial ethical theories, consequentialism. This approach to morality asks a deceptively simple question. What will this action produce in the world? Let's begin with a scenario. Imagine you're standing at a moral crossroads. On one path lies honesty, sincere and unwavering, but possibly hurtful. On the other path, a comforting lie, easy, reassuring, and protective. For consequentialists, the moral worth of each path does not lie in the act itself, but in the outcomes it brings. If telling the lie brings peace and prevents harm, then perhaps it is the better choice. Defining consequentialism. Consequentialism is a teleological ethical theory, meaning it evaluates actions based on their outcomes from the word telos, a Greek term for end or purpose. In this framework, morality is not about rules, intentions, or traditions. It's about results. An act is morally right if it brings about good consequences like happiness, justice, well-being. If it leads to harm or injustice, it is morally wrong regardless of how noble the intent may have been. In everyday life, we often think consequentially without realizing it. It helped the team win. It avoided unnecessary pain. It prevented panic. These are all examples of outcome-based reasoning. Consequentialism thrives in real-world contexts like medicine, politics, law, and personal relationships because it adapts to complexities. The principle: the end justifies the means. This idea that a morally questionable action can be justified by a good outcome, both consequentialism's strength and its most troubling aspect. Lying to comfort the dying, leaking information to prevent a terror attack, or hiding trauma from a child, all may be deemed right if they lead to the greater good. Key proponents and perspectives. Let's walk through the voices that shape this theory. Jeremy Bentham, the founder of classical utilitarianism. Bentham believed in maximizing pleasure and minimizing pain for the greatest number. His famous formula, the greatest happiness of the greatest number. John Stuart Mill. He refined Bentham's view by distinguishing between higher and lower pleasures, favoring intellectual and emotional fulfillment over mere sensual enjoyment. Henry Sidgwick tried to merge moral intuition with utilitarian logic, acknowledging the conflict between self-interest and universal moral duty. G.E. Moore argued that other values, truth, beauty, friendship, also count as intrinsic goods, not just pleasure. He expanded the definition of moral good. Peter Singer, known for applying consequentialism to global ethics, Singer advocates for animal rights and poverty reduction, urging moral actions that reduce suffering for all sentient beings. R.M. Hare developed a two-level moral theory, intuitive rules for daily life and critical thinking for complex cases, both grounded in utilitarian ethics. Derek Parfit brought the future into moral thinking. His work emphasizes the ethical importance of long-term consequences and future generations. Strengths and applications. Consequentialism is admired for its clarity and practicality. It demands results, not just good intentions. It is adaptable to real-life dilemmas and often feels more humane than rigid rules. But it has risks. However, it can also justify manipulation or cruelty if the outcome is seen as good, ignore intentions, duties, and human dignity. A doctor lies to a dying patient for peace, justified for preserving emotional comfort. A CEO lays off thousands to save a company, justified by long-term economic stability. A student cheats to help a friend succeed, debated but justified by the friend's long-term success and future contributions. Consequentialism invites us to ask, did this make the world better? Better for whom? At what cost? It reminds us that ethics isn't only about checking rules off a list. It's about the real impact of our choices. But we must handle it with care. If we rely solely on consequences, we may justify harm in pursuit of good. So, should the end always justify the means? Or must we also ask, is the means itself worthy of the end it seeks? Thank you. And I look forward to exploring your reflections on this consequential topic. I hope to see you join in my next episode, The Faces of Consequentialism.